Zoom. I've got 5 pairs at home and I finally found them.
You're on.
We're on, Tom.
Somehow they cluster together like that. Must be a game or something.
You can call a meeting, Chairman.
Okay, we're calling this meeting to order at
5:07.
5:07 PM. The first thing I wanna do is have a motion to, consider the proposed agenda.
I make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Now for item 3, we're going to move something that exists on some, under Roman numeral 7, new businesses, consideration of draft budget. And Tracy will explain that.
We're
But
gonna move
first of all,
So the
project status on the aquarium.
oh, I see it now. Get right, I need glasses.
I know.
All right, so I need an okay to propose the agenda, to approve it.
Yep, we got the agenda approved, and you can let Brian DeLuca in. Brian DeLuca from the aquarium, as per the correspondence that was forwarded earlier regarding, he wants to come and present to the board the status of the project through COVID, as well as, forecast how it's gonna impact the aquarium going forward over the next couple of years. I just wanna remind everyone to speak loudly and clearly through their muffled masks. Yeah, he's on.
Yes, I can hear. Thank you.
Thank Tim.
Brian, are you on? No, he's on the bottom. Brian DeLuca is on the bottom, I see him.
He's got 2 things going.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay, now you're on.
you got me?
Yes.
Okay.
You're
You
on.
hear me?
I introduced you. I didn't know if you heard.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so you're all introduced.
Hi, Brian.
Okay,
Welcome.
So is this a public forum or is this just the IDA board?
This is an IDA board meeting, and it's a public meeting that's aired on Channel 22
Okay,
and recorded and posted on our website,
okay,
as well as the minutes. I
Understood.
re-informed the board of your correspondence regarding the status of the aquarium and the aquarium project, as well as what you see the forecast to be in the next year or two and the impact of COVID has had on the company and the project.
okay. So, I appreciate the opportunity today to give an update, and I appreciate everybody taking that letter into consideration. So for a recap of the aquarium and, where we stand, and kind of a little brief summary since being closed due to the state mandate and only being allowed to operate at a 25% capacity on the facility. As a recap, the aquarium revenue is down 53% to last year. That's several $1 million for us. The attendance is down 56%, which is over 100,000 people. And the catering is down 84%, which is over $1 million. And we have our sponsorships also down 66%. So total, we are running at a 56% deficit in the millions of dollars short of where we were last year. In some regards, because we are only allowed to operate at 25% capacity, if you walk by the aquarium, drove by any time, you see a line because of the flow of people and the limited number of tickets we were allowed to sell per hour. We did take advantage of the situation where the average stay is 3 hours. so we let up to 800 people in that 3-hour window, and then we had the opportunity to bring another 800 people in. We never got to those full capacity numbers, but it did give us, to operate where we are now at a 56% deficit rather than a 75, had we been only at 25% capacity. Catering's been really difficult for us also because of the 50-person requirement. Only 50 people are allowed to go to a catered event at this juncture with the state requirements. So that impacts the Hyatt rooms, all the wedding groups that would normally book, and of course the catering business. So we postponed about 75% of our weddings into the following year, but we definitely lost a good 20-25% of the weddings, returning deposits and so forth. So again, another financial impact and hit for us. We used all of our PPP funding that we received for payroll only. We did not use it for our interest on our bank loans. We did not use it for our utilities, gas or electric. We used it solely for our payroll, and really the main thrust of that was for the animal care staff. The day we closed, March 16th or 17th, in some regards, nothing changed for our animal care staff in the operation. Tending to the animals' dietary needs, tending to the life support systems, the food, their habitat support and maintenance of those. And we didn't skip a beat with that as far as our animal care staff. We did put them on an A/B schedule, working 3.5 days, and not to have anybody working together on the onset there because there was a lot of uncertainty. And we put our people in our masks early on, and happy to say and happy to report that nobody on our staff has gotten the virus. So kept everybody healthy, and we kept our animals healthy and fed, and with the veterinarian care and the proper medications and dietary needs. So the future is questionable as well with school trips. Obviously, all the challenges the schools are facing. We would normally do 50-60,000 students on school trips, and that's going to be an impact for us as well. And summer camps, normally people that send their kids to day camps, that all did not transpire for us, which was all part of that contributing deficit that we're sensing and seeing right now for sure. On the hotel side of things, the Hyatt is running about 55% occupancy. Last year at this point, at the end of August, they were at 77. So there's a 22% drop there. And the revenues are down over $1 million also in revenue for the Hyatt. So, all in all, we're feeling the pain as everybody is. And we're managing through it the best we can. We are working with the banks. The banks postponed or they deferred is really the right term, our interest and principal for a 3-month period on the onset, and they did it for another 3 months. But that all comes due come October for us. And we're still working with the bank. We're with a group now that not our account reps, but we're working with a group that handles managing through lines of credit and getting through the deficits. So we are making some determination on how we're going to manage the next 22 months because we do run out of cash flow come the end of December. So even with the forecast of us operating at a 50% occupancy, or 50% of our sales, and then come the beginning of the first quarter, running at 30% of our sales. So essentially, we need to work with the bank and work out some type of line of credit to help us carry us through, essentially. We have worked with basically all of our creditors that we owe money to, and for the most part, they've all put us in a 6-month payment plan, which has been very helpful for us. That's everything. That's National Grid, that's PSE&G, and that's every creditor, everybody that's from an accounts payable standpoint. And we've made the same request for our property taxes as well, to make those payments over that duration of time. So with that, you know, the forecast of running out of funds and cash flow, working with the bank, you know, we're coming to terms with how to make that all work for us. You know, from an employment standpoint, at this point last year, through the month of August, we had employed 289 people at the aquarium, and that's not including a Hyatt, in 2019. And 2020, we got 150 people on staff. So we're just about half. And a lot of contributing factors to that. We definitely had to furlough people, we had to lay people off. And of course, we're not having catered events, you know, that's a good portion of the staff there. And we reduced a lot of things in the aquarium. We just didn't operate. We didn't operate our shark dive, our snorkel adventure, our simulator, our rock climbing wall. There was just a lot of things we weren't allowed to operate, which of course impacted the revenue, and it also, you know, took jobs away from some of our employees and reduced our payroll clearly. But as we work out those payment plans with the vendors, you know, there's hope once we get our line of credit that we'll muddle through this. In the next 22 months, you know, we'll be highs and lows, and we're a seasonal business anyway. And, you know, we definitely are probably doing better than others in respect to being in the 5 boroughs of New York and New York City, and the density of population from Nassau County all the way to the city. We clearly know they're coming out. We all live out this way, and we know the enrollment in school and the home sales, and we see all those things that are benefiting us being in such a high dense population. And those people are coming out and taking day trips and staying out over the hotel. And that's all very positive, but still clearly we're still impacted financially by just the limitations and the mandates, and people just generally being concerned about being out in the public. But as I said, you know, we're managing through that. At this juncture, you know, what our ask is of the IDA is that we would ask for our normal payment, the pilot program that is due, I think it's $117,000, Tracy, I think, close to that number.
I don't have the
That's-
projection off for this year yet, but yeah, that sounds about right.
So that's due at the end of the year. We would be making that payment in the beginning of January. And our hopes is that we could work out an installment payment plan, essentially, whether it be quarterly or monthly. Either one would be, you know, beneficial to us, that it's not one lump sum, a 6-figure number that is just, you know, challenging at this juncture. And if any penalties and fees could be waived, of course, that would be very helpful for us as well. And, you know, get ourselves on track. But making payments at this juncture, as, you know, we're still bringing, you know, people and guests through the facility, and we're managing the back end on the expenses. There's still fixed expenses that we're just never gonna get around, but we're definitely managing our expenses in a very large way. But the ask is to make installment payments. That would really be helpful for us. And we're not asking for reduction. We understand the tax benefits that we get through the IDA. We are spending $156,000, $356,000 a year, and the pilot's about 117 of that. So it would be really beneficial and helpful for us as we are coming through this recovery in the next 22 months is our forecast to start seeing some light of day. That's my summary. If there's questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to do that.
Thanks, Brian.
Any questions?
What would be most beneficial, Brian, the quarterly or monthly payments?
I would say monthly.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate all the hard work you're doing in trying to keep the aquarium alive and our downtown hopping still to feed the other businesses in town as well and employ our local people. And, we're glad you're surviving, and we'll certainly consider, whatever we can to help.
Yes.
I appreciate that greatly. It's an important piece for us, and, you know, we're very fortunate that really all of our vendors are just, you know, giving us this opportunity to just recover. And, you know, nobody wants to see us, you know, suffer and go down, and, you know, that's just a whole nother path that we don't have to travel down and discuss. And, you know, we've gotten through a very difficult time being closed, and, you know, it's catch up now. It's those several months of just getting in, you know, having those monthly payments that we just need to catch up on, and we'll get there. I'm confident in us managing this appropriately, and, these type of things are just gonna help us, recover.
Well, it's the survival of the project is critical for our downtown, particularly with, us continuing to try and attract investment at this time, and the projects that are in the pipeline, the town square, it's critical to keep you alive. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's consideration in this matter.
Well, Brian, just so you know, we knew you were gonna discuss that tonight for us at the start, and we'll, talk as soon as we can about what we can do for you on that matter of taking the payments and stretching them out, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Terrific. Thank
Well, there
you.
you are.
Signing off?
You are, thanks, you don't have to stay through the meeting, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much.
I need a motion to consider the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chairman, I did not finish the minutes, before you didn't get the minutes. We'll table them for the next meeting, if that's okay?
I
You
need a-
don't have them?
I need a motion not to.
I'll make a motion to table.
Thank you.
I'll second. Thank you. All in favor, aye?
I forgot to tell you, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I know eventually you'll tell me everything. Okay, next. Okay, let's go to the public hearing, which, is sort of in effect, but I'll explain. Sort of in effect, but I'll explain. I'm calling this meeting, this is the
Can you,
public hearing.
recess the regular meeting first?
Yeah, is it on here or after?
No, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to recess the regular meeting of
Oh,
the.
that's what you want to do.
Second.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I really dropped the ball on you this time.
No problem, I need help.
So should I make a motion to reopen the
Sure.
public
Do.
hearing?
The
I'll
public
make that
hearing,
Thank you.
right.
Second? No, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
But the public hearing is now open to an extent. So let me,
Read your script, did do your script.
I'm calling this meeting to order at, 5:25 PM. We are here this evening to continue the public hearing regarding the application for financial assistance of the 331 East Main Street LLC that was opened on August 24, 2020. The hearing was adjourned at that time to remain open for written comment until September 4th, which is past now, providing additional time for the chief fiscal officers of the taxing jurisdictions to make comments. Our executive director has informed me that no request has been made by the public or taxing jurisdictions to attend virtually and speak at this time. Our executive director has informed me that the agency received email correspondence which has been distributed to each board member, to the applicant, and has been entered into the record. If there is anyone in the virtual room at this time that would like to comment, we will invite you in one by one. Please identify yourself and your place of residence. Please speak clearly and loudly.
That's outside of applicant. There's no one else. Seeing none, sir.
All right, so,
I'd like to speak if I could.
No, you will have a chance, Chris.
Okay.
After seeing none,
where's Chris?
he's up there, but
Oh, okay, now I see. Seeing none, would the representatives of 331 East Main Street LLC wish to add comment to our testimony on behalf of the project? If so, please identify yourselves, and present to the board the information toward the application for financial assistance.
Am I on now?
Anybody wish to come forward, or shall we move on?
yeah, Chris.
I'm stepping forward.
Okay,
Clever.
Is this mic working? Good
Yeah.
afternoon, Chairman Crusoe and members of the Riverhead IDA. As you may recall, my name is Christopher Kent, and I'm
Hi.
an attorney at Farrell Fritz. Also joining me is Nicholas Terzulli, he's also an attorney at Farrell Fritz. We also have the principal, one of the principals of G2D, which is the development group that's proposing the project at 331 East Main Street, and that's Bobby Walsh. We represent the applicant in its application to the Riverhead IDA for financial assistance to redevelop a currently underutilized 0.36 acre parcel within the downtown center DC1 zoning use district at 331 East Main Street with a proposed 4-story, 36-unit market rate apartment building with covered terraces and a rooftop deck overlooking the Peconic River, together with a ground floor parking garage for its residents and a 838 square foot commercial space on Main Street. We appreciate the opportunity to provide information in response to the written comments received by the IDA after our presentation at the public hearing on August 24th, 2020. We would like to restate some information about the first market rate apartment project being developed in downtown Riverhead. This site is in the heart of downtown Riverhead, and it is currently assessed at $81,800 and pays $17,000 in annual real property taxes. As advised by the current owner of the property, the total annual rent roll from the property was never more than $100,000. The expectation is that the annual rent roll from the proposed project at full occupancy will be roughly $1 million. Hoping to utilize the strength of this site, which is for residential development in the downtown area. The town assessors have estimated that the assessed value from this property will increase from $81,800 to $793,400. Just based on the investment, the $13 million investment that our clients are making into this site. The applicant first met with the executive director of Riverhead IDA in October 2018 to discuss the idea of bringing a market rate apartment building to downtown Riverhead, a first of its kind, a first investment of its kind in downtown Riverhead. The economic inducements from the IDA and the soon-to-be adopted Opportunity Zone was an absolute incentive for the $13 million capital investment to be made by G2D Group in the downtown Riverhead market. However, since the project represents the first market rate units in downtown Riverhead, there remains considerable risk to the investors. The assistance of the Riverhead IDA helps ameliorate that risk, allowing the project to be financeable, developable, and sustainable. There is a significant demand for rental units on Long Island, especially in redeveloping downtown areas where there's an extremely low supply. In fact, the Riverhead IDA itself has identified bringing market rate apartments to the downtown as a high priority objective of the agency. Why is it a good thing for Riverhead? Attracting investment in your downtown is good for the entire town. Let's examine some case studies on Long Island. Let's look at Patchogue, Farmingdale, Mineola, all towns that felt their time was in the past. They used to thrive 20, 30, 40 years ago, but they were all deteriorating. These downtown success stories started with having sewers in their downtown area and utilizing IDA incentives to attract substantial investment and to create vibrancy. The growth of the local tax base in each case from 2010 to 2017 is remarkable. Patchogue realized an additional $693 million of investment in residential development, which led to exponential growth in restaurants, entertainment, and services. Mineola's tax base increased 18% as the county seat of Nassau County. Office development, restaurants followed the investment in residential development. Farmingdale's tax base, although they're newer to this redevelopment, has increased 12%, with increase in capital across multiple economic sectors, and it's still growing. Riverhead is the next success story. As the county seat of Suffolk, Riverhead will have a similar experience. Riverhead, in the last few years, looking at year 2018, it was competitively conservative when compared to other towns in Suffolk County when awarding pilot exemptions. And all these towns are competing for the same capital investment. In 2018, Islip provided $18.6 million in pilot exemptions. Brookhaven provided $17.4 million in pilot exemptions. Riverhead provided $1.5 million. It's hard to compete with investors who are looking to make their capital show a return if you can't induce them to come to your town in the first place. High quality market rate, new professionally managed apartments are in short supply in the town of Riverhead. This project presents a compelling opportunity to deliver a high quality market rent housing that will act as a catalyst for other private investment to follow. In addition to providing crucial new housing opportunities, the project will generate significant economic activity to the town through construction phase spending and new household spending. In addition, the increased disposable income of the residents will stimulate feet on the street economic dynamism within the downtown walkable community. The project will also generate significant increased real property tax revenue to the town of Riverhead from this parcel, even with a negotiated pilot. The estimated assessed value of the project is nearly 970% more than the assessed value for the current underutilized, underperforming property. From year one, after the completion of the development, the tax revenues will increase, even with a pilot agreement, and only grow exponentially each year thereafter. Understanding the significance of the project to the local business community, the Riverhead Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Riverhead Business Improvement District have offered letters of support for this project. They want to see it happen. They're hoping that, just as you heard from the aquarium, bringing more people with more disposable income to downtown Riverhead will only help all of the businesses in Riverhead. And with this investment, more investment will follow that will only create more tax revenues and allow your school district to receive more funding. project is located within one of the town's Riverhead Opportunity Zones, Empire Zones, and urban renewal areas. Opportunity zones were specifically earmarked for economic development assistance that we are seeking for this project. The applicant is structuring a financing plan that will enable the entity to utilize the federal tax incentives created by the Opportunity Zone. And the Riverhead IDA Uniform Tax Exemption Policy includes an enhanced real property tax abatement guideline criteria. And that's why we're asking for enhanced real property tax abatement. These guidelines include, among others, the nature of the property before the project. This is a distressed community. The project benefits, which relate to the amount of private sector investment as a result of the project and additional revenues that will be realized from the project. And the business community, the impact of the project upon other existing businesses within the area. We can say that we meet all of those criteria. Holding true to their commitment, the applicants have pursued what they first spoke of when they met with Tracy Stark James in October 2018. To get the approvals and to make the necessary capital investment to build the first market rate apartment building in downtown Riverhead. The IDA benefits and other programs discussed in that first meeting are absolutely necessary for this project to be developed and to succeed. We appreciate your consideration, and we open the floor to any questions you may have.
Chris, I have one. In our discussions, you talked about the target market you are going to focus on. Do you have?
Bobby, is Greg around? Does he want to speak to the target market, or do you want me to try to answer that for him?
Yeah, he's right here. Give me 1 second.
I'd like Greg DeRosa to speak to the target market for these units. We are looking for young professionals. We're looking for retired people who might be wanting to come out of their single-family residences and live downtown where they can walk to restaurants, to the theater, and hopefully to a grocery store or some other type of food, prepared food place where they can pick up food. We're also in the commercial space that's being developed on site. We're looking to attract a concierge type service that will not only serve the residents of the building, but also visitors and residents of the town. So,
In most of our buildings, or I would say all of our buildings,
Bobby, can you just state your name and?
oh, sorry, yep. Bobby Walsh, G2D Development Corp., 36 New York Avenue, Huntington, New York. As with all our properties, our target market, because of the quality of the units and because of the price of the units, we're always after young professionals first. We typically get a lot of divorcees, whether that's good or bad. We also get a lot of people who are done with paying high taxes, living in the big house they don't want to take care of anymore. They're looking for a different style of life at this point, where they want to be able to just walk into town and go to dinner. If they want to go to Florida for the winter for a month or two, you know, they have a secure place to stay when they get back, and just trying to downsize their life and make things a lot easier.
can I follow up on that for a second too also? Exactly what Bobby said is critical, is what's going on Long Island. It's the residential cycle. As older people leave their single-family residences, these single-family residences become available to young families. People who frequently leave Long Island to go elsewhere will stay if there's housing available for them. And their needs can be met by these houses where the older people move out, the younger couples who want to start a family will move in. But that can't happen unless you have places for these people to go that are desirable. And a lot of people want to move to downtowns. view. They want to live in a walkable community. They don't want to have to drive everywhere. And I think that's what this will provide. This will provide not only a type of residential dwellings for the people who want to move out of their big single-family residence into a downtown area, downsize, but it will also then provide single-family residences for young couples who want to start families on Long Island to move into those single-family residences. It's the residential cycle, as Libby calls it. That's a Libby term. Long Island Business, Long Island Builders Institute. Any other questions?
That's all I have.
I have a question.
Board, okay, please.
Yes, I have a question. In the last meeting, you talked about building in Riverhead a market rate facility you felt was risky. You weren't certain, whether or not you were gonna attract those types of tenants. And I understand how HUD works with AMI, it's regional, so, which is, kind of skews the numbers for Riverhead. So my question is, what are your plans, or do you have contingency plans if you cannot rent it at market rate? What's your plan after that?
So, I mean, market rate's a catchy term for, what the market will bear. But given the development that's going on in Riverhead now between the expansion of Northwell up on the Circle, their purchase of the Mercy High School property, the wellness center that just opened up in Calverton, the prospects of the Calverton development by the old airport, these are all projects that we think that we'll be able to feed off of and find the people that are willing to pay the rent rate for a product that is not even offered in Riverhead at this point. The risk clearly comes from the fact that we're gonna be the first one in the market. I mean, that's more of the risk than us eventually attracting the tenant that we need to find.
So I totally agree with you, the reason for building here, I think is smart, just for all the reasons you've stated. So market rate is gonna fluctuate on what the market will bear. That's what I'm trying to get at.
And that can be cyclical as well, within one of our properties in Huntington, 2 years ago when we first leased it up, the rates were a little bit lower than we're getting now because the demand has picked up so significantly that we have an opportunity to increase rent roll. So it's a cyclical thing. I mean, we obviously set a bottom and a top, and we try to stay within those two parameters, which make the numbers work for our investors.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the board?
No?
Okay. Then I'm gonna declare this hearing closed at
5:45.
5:45, thank you.
Thank you. You don't need to remain on for the rest of the meeting if you don't so choose.
I just want to say thank you for closing the public hearing, and we hope that you'll consider a resolution for final approval.
We'll certainly be working on it
Thank you.
momentarily.
Mayor and board, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Moving on.
We need a motion to close the public hearing? Yes. Or do we just declare it closed?
All right,
I don't know.
Motion to close it, yeah.
I'll make the motion to close it.
second to close.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, it's officially closed
It's
now.
official.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set, thank you.
Thanks, Arnie.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, is there any correspondence?
That's correct, none.
Should we reopen the meeting?
Yes, we do need to reopen the meeting.
By the time I get used to this, we'll be using some.
I know.
jargon, but
I'll
anyway.
move to reopen the meeting.
Thank you.
Wow, a lot of meetings.
Second,
Thank you, Jim. Jim Farley seconded.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Do we have any correspondence?
None.
All right. On to the treasurer's report, Mr. Treasurer.
Absolutely. Let's hear it, Bob.
and loud.
Okay. Cash in the checking account, balance in the People's United Bank checking account as of August 31st, 2020 was $20,899.09. Investments balance at August 31st, 2020 was as follows: $145,478,000.98. Municipal money market account bearing interest with an annual rate of 0.2%. The revenues for the month of August 2020 include interest earnings of $27.69. Expenses paid for the month of August 2020 totaled $14,219.09. Need a motion to approve treasurer's report?
Hold on, let me ask them,
Any
any questions? No. Well, I have one, so.
Yes.
That's the way I mentioned it, is. Did I miss the, money that I think should still be in the CD?
No, that's,
It should be on there, is it not on there?
The money market?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I said with money market, isn't it? Yeah,
It's there under investment?
it's under investment.
Now I see it, okay,
Yeah, that's $145,000.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's very plain for me. It's hard to spot those things at the moment. Okay, thanks. Anything else? Any observations?
No.
All right, let's approve, we didn't really have a motion, so give me a motion. I'll make that motion.
Marisi?
Thank you. Second,
I'll second.
Osborne?
all in favor? Aye.
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 Chairman, since you've heard the financial report, it is the recommendation of the CFO and myself to transfer $50,000 from the money market to the operating account at this time. And, although we have a blanket resolution for that, I'd just like a motion for the board to transfer that money into the operating account.
So do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, a second? I'll second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
I gotta read this whole thing?
No, just give it to you, just give us a summary. All right.
The resolution, have you done the resolution?
Four. Oh, that'll come in the new business,
Oh, okay.
after the finance committee report, finance committee has to recommend
Okay.
first.
Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah, you can just say that we, yeah.
Okay, so,
The chairman's gotta work through the committee report, sorry,
Okay.
I'm jumping
Okay.
ahead.
So Bob, committee report. Are you gonna do that?
We'll jump down to finance,
well, it's audit, governance, and finance. You want me to go?
there's no audit committee report and there's no governance committee
Just the
report
finance
this
committee.
time.
Okay. So, the finance committee met, was last week. And we looked at the draft budget, we looked at, what we did look at is how much we're spending per month, which is in the neighborhood of $20,000, and which gives us about a year, and correct me if I'm wrong, to operate.
6 months.
6 months, excuse me, 6 months.
If nothing changes, 6 months.
If nothing
Correct.
changes,
Okay.
6 months. And, you know, Tracy has expressed, she's speaking to a number of different people with different projects, but, you know, as of right now, nothing is really, you know, coming to fruition, so that's where we are, financially. Let's see.
The committee did discuss some ways to generate revenue as well as, reviewing the increase in fees.
Yes, which we did, I don't know,
We're doing some research on that and we'll reconvene.
yes, I'm strikes on the path.
Mhm.
Yeah. We did increase fees, I think it was roughly 3 years ago, a little bit. So we're gonna look at that again. Do I think it's going to, or do we think as a committee that's going to, put us over the top? The answer is no. But I think moving forward, we need to look at this so that we don't get into we avoid this situation, okay?
Well, the administrative burden has significantly increased, taking the executive director's, time away from actually doing the job of cultivating projects and economic wealth for the town of Riverhead. So
Right.
that was one way to try and offset some of our costs. And, that was discussed we're doing some research on, other agencies' competitive fee structuring and what the value is of charging the fees to the companies.
And just to add to Bob's thought, this committee has already gone into this from the standpoint of finances. We have the governance committee who's begun to work on things, including fees. And we certainly have our income side have being discussed. These are preliminary, they were pretty detailed and intense. And some things, as you mentioned, the executive director, have to be answered to make sure that we aren't wasting our time in considering these. And we need to get some of the business that has been out there, and for a lot of reasons, not their fault, it's been very difficult to get anywhere. And now we're faced with quite a few potential projects that seem to be waking up and coming back for more, would you say?
Well, typically, your projects from inception take several years. From the time we make an introduction and court someone to developing an idea and a strategy and getting the finances and, someone who's financially sound to actually invest in the town of Riverhead, it takes a number of years, and then you've got to go through site plan process. This agency does not typically approve a project prior to the town getting approvals, unless we're really confident and have some level of proof that they are gonna, be approved by the town, and there's a need to expedite, authorization through our agency. So it takes a number of years, to cultivate a project. We do have several that we've been working on, more than several, some as long as 7 years, 8 years, maybe 10, that may seem to bubble up in the next year or so. So I'm confident in that, but the board should be aware of our financial situation at the moment, as well as perhaps the town board.
Yeah, I have a question to that. I mean, how close do we sit by and wait for, like, this is 2018, this project right here.
Mhm.
All right, this is 2020, they're probably not gonna put a shovel in the ground until 2021. And I am aware of another project that was 9 years.
Mhm.
I do understand they hired another planner. Is there any way, or do we just stand by and wait for the planning department to say, okay, this is gonna be good 3 years later, or do we interact with them? Is there any kind of, do they expedite anything based on the fact that these people are willing to come in and do an investment?
What are you
I-
suggesting?
Good question.
A conditional approval, or you wanna, what are you suggesting then?
My question is, I'm really not suggesting anything. My question is, what's our relationship with the planning department in terms of the projects?
I will tell you that if a project calls me and says they feel stymied, contact is made with the planning department or the department that they feel they're being, held back from moving forward. We do try to work with them. Additionally, in previous administrations, there was discussion, and I should probably, resurrect that discussion and remind, because with the transition of town board members and as well as staffing members, projects in the Opportunity Zone, projects in the Empire Zone, projects in, downtown, were supposed to be prioritized in the login of projects in review process. as well as they have the same, you know, something similar for EPCAL when that gets going. So I will, resurrect that conversation and make sure, and perhaps Tim could help me, is Tim still here? Oh.
Yes, that's full expectation. And I
Perhaps.
think he'll welcome it too.
Yeah, Tim could help, with that dialogue with, staff, the different departments as well as the town board.
Yeah.
How many projects do you foresee for next year?
For next year? Did I bring my project number? We went over this in committee, and I would confidently say I could see 4 closing within the next.
4 out of 8 or 9, would you identify?
We have about 9 projects, but, you know,
Six.
they're gonna take some
They
time,
take their
you know.
time. They come when they're ready.
I shared with the committee, and I thought I shared with the board, you know, what I thought would happen in 6 months, in 2 years, in 5 years. I'll resend that out. Some of the projects are still confidential, but,
Mhm.
Okay, so is this also the time to bring up that we talked about going back to a work session and kind of like either on an annual or biannual basis and showing our pie charts and the value that we're bringing to
Talking
the
about a work
town?
session with the board,
With the town board?
town board?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I'd say so.
and we do that preceded by a press release to that effect? This way, anyone that, in the public that wants to, you know, listen in, look in, and maybe get educated on what the purpose of the IDA is, and when you look at some of these numbers coming from other towns, other IDAs, I mean, what we do is drops of water.
well, we're more selective. And actually, I think this agency prides itself on being more selective. But, you know, it puts us in a position, as we are now, where we need to really, tighten our belts, for the operations of the agency. And yes, we are preparing to update the video or presentation,
Okay.
as soon as we can.
Well, I'm happy to help, you know, I mean, anybody, you know, to look at that, because we agreed that it should be extremely simple. So, anyway, okay, great. That's my report, and my,
Thank you.
You also need to recommend to the board the draft budget that was reviewed by the committee.
Oh, right.
yes. So,
It was a recommendation out of committee, to authorize the draft budget for 2021.
okay.
And then,
Yeah, yeah.
further down into new business, you can, do the resolution in the regular
Okay.
of the meeting, if you like.
No, it's
Little
number.
Executive Director, is he done for now?
He has
Treasurer done?
completed his report, yes, sir. I just lost my agenda, though.
It's compliance, Woolworth revitalization is next.
I don't know, where's my agenda went? Yeah,
Okay, it's compliance.
yeah, we're at old business,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, let's go to old business. There is no old business, I believe, at this point.
So,
Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
There is no old business.
No, yes, there is, the compliance, the Woolworth revitalization that the board heard in a compliance hearing at the last board
Yeah, I
meeting.
didn't mean to skip it, it's just that we're not talking to the.
No, he's not attending.
Because we talked to him a couple of 3 times between, this, and, that last meeting. At this point, tell us where we're at.
Okay. So the client has submitted the additional required information regarding the annual compliance report for 2019. And pending receipt of the compliance fees, he will be deemed complete. So he has until the, 18th to submit the compliance fees, or postmark it by the 18th, and that should finalize everything.
Good.
And was the additional info sufficient?
It was.
Okay, I don't think there's any more business unless,
Just the
board
draft,
members have something.
draft budget.
Is that on here?
Yeah, I know, you're using the old agenda, and I wrote it down in there for you.
Well, you gotta
Probably
do that.
can't even
Oh,
see
you
it
do
from
have
that
it there.
It's
perspective.
number 8 under, it's under new business.
Yeah, but
Oh, he has different
Yeah.
agenda?
he brought the old agenda.
It's like fourth or fifth, I think.
Huh, okay.
Doesn't matter.
So it's resolution
Oh, here it is,
3520.
here it is.
You want me to,
Sure.
3520, okay.
well, did everyone have an opportunity to look at the draft budget? Fiscal year of, 2021?
This is just considering the draft budget so that it will be sent to the town board for their review.
Correct.
And then we'll have to readdress it after we get
That's
their
correct, you'll have
feedback.
to approve it officially, at the October meeting. This provides a 20-day notice to the town supervisor to have an opportunity to make comment on the budget if she so deems.
Right.
Has anybody seen this? The draft budget? Had an opportunity
It
to
was
look at it?
sent to the board,
Yeah, that's where I was headed.
and it came through finance
And I
committee with a
got it. I
recommendation
got
for,
one. But we need to, get an okay from the rest of the board.
correct.
So what do you recommend at this time, if not everybody's had an opportunity to look at
So,
it? There's a deadline on here too, if I'm not mistaken.
So, I'm, making a recommendation, a resolution approving the draft budget for fiscal year, 1/21 through 12/21.
Okay?
I'll second.
Okay, a second, all right. Is there any discussion needed?
I'm not opposed.
Has everyone seen it?
Mhm.
Yes, okay. And all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
So just to reiterate, it'll now go to the town board?
That's correct, tomorrow.
Okay. And we're on time for that.
Yep, tomorrow's my deadline.
Very good.
If I get sick, somebody give it to the supervisor.
Well, unless somebody has some, new business or other important thoughts.
I received, I just wanna inform the board,
Yeah.
We have to submit our, allocated bond activity, report that's due this week, and I'll do that. We didn't use any of the allocated bond money. That's a simple one page that I do every year.
Okay?
How much was there?
Our allocation was, in here somewhere, 153,000. That was our allocation for the year. We haven't used the bond allocation. In fact, last year we
We gave it to Brookhaven,
gave
didn't
to
we?
Brookhaven,
Yeah.
correct.
Is there something you think we can do about this?
I'm sorry?
Think there's something we can do about this to make sure that, those who use bonds are aware of this, that we have some opportunity
Yes.
to be a part of that process? Okay.
Just can we roll back a little general knowledge? What's the total allocation to, let's say, Suffolk County IDA? Suffolk County or Brookhaven or,
I don't keep track of
I
it.
don't know.
And generally, when we've done bond projects, we go to the statewide reserve fund, because they, resource recovery facilities, sewer plants,
Yep.
they get huge allocations.
Yep.
It's not used generally, in total, it's out of the federal budget sets the state's allocation, the state sets the allocation internally.
Right.
This amount has never been sufficient to do anything.
Anything with,
Yeah.
We always have to go to the state.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
So that's, so when we've done projects, bond projects, it's the state allocation.
Yeah.
We also, received an email from the comptroller's office with questions on our Paris submission for this past year, and I'm working to respond to it, but it's just questions on what certain things, why we did certain things in the Paris. Nothing, that I believe is of concern, and I will forward the questions and responses to you once they're compiled.
How diligent they are.
Yeah. That's all I have.
All right, well, give me a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, thank you, that's the, IDA meeting for, this, but, now we must move over to the Economic Job Development Corporation. For, an agenda on their meeting.
Responsible for the same.
I know, but I seem to have,
So I'm gonna call to order the Economic Job Development Corporation meeting at, 6:10.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, okay, we'll take that. 6:08 PM. Need a motion to adopt the proposed agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, second.
second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Approved.
And you did get the minutes for the LDC.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. That people write it every single time.
Any questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, and approved. Correspondence, still, none?
None, sir.
And back to the treasurer. This is,
You have it?
this is you.
Yes, I do, I do. So, the LDC activity, the balance in the LDC account at August 31st, 2020 was $506.12. And, oh, I'm sorry, wait, I'm sorry, let me go back. The revenues, for the month of August 2020 included interest earnings of whoa, no, that was it.
IDA.
The balance in the LDC account at August 31st, 2020 was $506.12.
Correct.
Okay, we can't, move it then.
What do you mean?
We only keep 500 in there, is that correct?
Yeah, at the end of the
Yeah.
year, we usually transfer.
Yeah, yes, it was later.
We don't have 2,000, we got about 500. That's
Which
what
has
it
gone up, it used to be 250.
It's $250 twice a year.
was.
So, get a motion to approve the LDC, activity?
Motion's made, second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Treasurer's report resolution 14-20, approved.
Okay, now.
Committee reports, audit none, governance none, finance committee report is the same as the one that Bob Kerrigan gave us earlier today.
Yes,
Just a different
Similar.
audience.
similar.
Less concerned.
Anything different than that one?
Less concerned.
Yeah.
All right, somebody give me a motion to, approve it?
I'll make the motion.
Well, the finance committee is, I'm assuming, making the recommendation to authorize the budget for 2021 to the board. And that was the report, correct, Bob?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So give me a second, that's the
Second.
motion, right?
Second.
Give a second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Old business is still none? New business, consideration of draft budget 2021. Okay, as we did with, the IDA meeting, correct? Same?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the one we just did. Yep, I got it.
All right, resolution 15-20. I need a motion.
No, we just did it, sir.
You did.
Oh, I thought you weren't taking it.
I'm sorry?
I thought you weren't taking it, all right. Well, that's my fault. I forgot.
Okay,
So you say you have a motion and you got a second.
yeah, you guys just approved it. It was Anthony and and Jim. For 1520, I'm assuming, right? That's what the action was on? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you thought we were motioning to close the committee report, to accept the committee report.
No, okay. I had something else in mind.
We just need an adjournment, closing.
Motion to adjourn? Motion.
Second.
Second to adjourn, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, at,
6:12.
6:12.
Yeah, that one didn't change since September 8th, but it's a draft.
Oh, okay.
The dates on when they're drafted.
Yep.
Because they changed so much, and that one never changed. And then the adopted one, when it goes up, will have the
Okay.
date of